the theories of personality, and we have discussed about the various trait theories. Today, we will discuss about the psychodynamic perspective of personality. Mainly, psychodynamic perspective includes the psychoanalytic theory of Freud and his followers, later psychologists, who are mainly known as Neo-Freudians. All these theories, Freud's theory as well as the Neo-Freudians theories, are known as psychodynamic perspective. Okay, Freud's theory focuses on the role of unconscious mind in the development of personality. And Freud holds that personality develops in stages. Early experiences with parents play an important role in shaping personality. And Freud believes that behavior is a surface characteristic. Behavior is symbolic. Our overt behavior represents the deep inner workings of mind. So, in order to understand someone's personality, we have to explore the symbolic meaning of behavior and inner workings of mind. So, let us discuss in detail. To understand the inner workings of mind, Freud talks of three divisions of mind. Freud compared the mind with an iceberg. So, as if an iceberg floats in the water, the tip of the iceberg, very small portion of it, is visible above the water, and large portion of it is underneath the water and we cannot see it. Likewise, Freud divided mind into three divisions. There are three divisions of mind. First is conscious mind. What do we mean by consciousness? Consciousness means awareness. So conscious mind consists of all those things of which we are aware at a particular time. Okay, so conscious mind consists of all our perceptions, thinkings, etc., of which we are aware at the particular point of time. We can compare it to our short-term memory. That means the memory system in which information is held while it is being used. The second system or the second division of mind is pre-conscious mind or subconscious mind. This is the division of mind or level of mind where all the information, events, thoughts of which we are not aware at a particular moment are kept. However, if required, this information can be easily brought to conscious mind. Suppose now at your conscious mind, you are hearing to my lecture. Okay, so your conscious mind consists of now at this point of time, your conscious mind consists of my whatever I am saying to you now. You are not thinking of what have you had in your lunch today. You are not thinking of it, so you are not aware of it at this particular time. But if I ask what have you had in your lunch today, you can easily remember and say me, so you can bring the information to your conscious mind and you can
Hi, hi.
କ୍ଲାସ୍ କଣ ହେଲା କି ଷ୍ଟପ୍ ହେଇଗଲା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କୁଆଡେ ଗଲେ କି? ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କୁଆଡେ ଗଲେ କି?
Sorry, there are some issues with network connection. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking about unconscious mind. Unconscious mind consists of vast part of mind that remains hidden at all times. The information kept in this part of mind are not easily accessible. They are not easily accessible. We cannot bring the information into our conscious mind voluntarily. They come to our conscious mind only in symbolic form, in the form of dreams or sleeps of tongue. So we cannot access them directly. Then Freud talked of three divisions of personality. There are three parts of personality. The way these three parts develop and interact with each other forms the heart of his theory. First part of personality is id. Id. Id is the primitive part of personality which is present at birth. It is amoral. It doesn't know what is right or what is wrong. It is completely unconscious, and it contains all the basic biological drives like our hunger, thirst, self-preservation, sex, etc. So we can say that it is a mass of blind instincts. Since it is in direct contact with bodily processes and it consists of our bodily instincts, it tries to fulfill or satisfy its instinctual wishes or instinctual drives. So, as it is immoral, it wants the immediate satisfaction of our needs or drives or wishes. So, we say that it operates according to the pleasure principle. That means if it is pleasurable, then have it. Mm, though id consists of several bodily instincts. According to Freud, two instincts are more important. One is life instinct or eros, and the second is thanatos. Eros is life instinct. Eros includes self love, love for others, self preservation instincts, and our desire to propagate the species. That means our sexual instincts. And to complement the eros, we know that death is inevitable. So, eros is a constructive force, creative or constructive force that underlie our lives. And to complement eros, Freud conceptualized another instinct that is called death instinct or thanatos. Thanatos is the destructive part of our personality. That means the instinct to destroy. It is the instinct to destroy. If our destructive instinct, the instinct to destroy, is turned outward, it results in hate, aggression, murder. In worst case, it takes the form of murder. If it turns inward, it results in suicidal destruction. Since Eros and Thanatos exist side by side, we are driven by two conflicting unconscious forces. So, every human motive is a mixture of both constructive and destructive forces. So, in short, each person is assumed to have inborn drives that were created by our bodily organs and seek satisfaction. They can be satisfied in many ways. For example, when activated, the sex drive could be directly expressed through sexual activity or indirectly through joking or creative activities like writing poems, etc. Um, However, we should be clear that um, the meaning of sex, what we generally understand, Freud's conception of sexual desires is much broader. Freud expanded the notion of sexual desires to include not only the urge for sexual union, but also all the behaviors that seek sensual pleasure. So, any sensual pleasure, according to Freud, is sexual pleasure. And sex is very important in Freud's theory. The sexual energy or the psychic energy that drives people to have sensual pleasure is called libido. We know whenever or for any action, we want energy. So energy is needed to perform any action. So at the mental level, whenever we want to get some sensual pleasure, energy is also needed. And the mental energy or psychic energy needed to obtain sensual pleasure is known as libido. Um, when the biological drives are active, the libido is active. So the libido drives the individual to satisfy the biological needs or instincts. when the biological, when the libido is active, there is an increase in physical tension and psychological tension. Suppose we are hungry, obviously there is physical and physiological tension within us like this. So when libido is active, there is an increase in psychological tension. When there is high tension, the person feels discomfort, we are not comfortable, or it is an unpleasant state. It is not pleasant for the person. So the person seeks to reduce this tension because it creates discomfort. The person seeks to reduce this tension by fulfilling the drives. So how the person could reduce the tension? By eating when hungry, by drinking when thirsty. The libido may sometimes come into conflict with the demands of the society or standard of behavior. We know whenever, suppose we want to eat now, right now, somebody is eating a pizza and we want to eat it. We want to grab it from him or her and have it, but we cannot do it because there is society's societal standards of behavior. We cannot do it. So there are societal constraints to satisfy our drives immediately. Sex drive, as I have told you, is pleasure drive. Any for Freud, any sensual drive is a sex drive. So when though id operates on pleasure principle, we cannot always have immediate gratification of the id desires, because it may lead us to dangerous consequences. And here comes the second part of the personality, that is ego. Ego is the part of the personality that develops out of the need to deal with the reality or societal demands. It is mostly conscious, rational, and logical. Ego works with reality principle because ego is in line with the demands of the real world. So ego works on reality principle, which is the need to satisfy the demands of the id and reduce libido only in ways that will not lead to negative consequences. If we always immediately satisfy our id desires, I told you, it may lead to negative consequences, but ego doesn't allow it. Ego mm, uh, lets the individual satisfy his or her drives only if there would be no negative consequences. That means sometimes the ego decides to deny the its desires because the consequences would be unpleasant or painful. So, ego's principle is, if it feels good, do it, but only if you can get away with it. only if there would be no negative consequences. And the third part of the personality is superego. Superego is the moral watchdog of our personality. It is the part of the personality that acts as the moral center of personality. Um, it develops as the preschool child learns the rules, customs, and expectations of society. So, superego also has two parts. First is ego ideal, and the second part is conscience. Ego ideal is the part of the superego that contains the standards for moral behavior. What is right, what is wrong? It is the standard for it is our standards for moral behavior. It is a kind of measuring device. It is the sum total of all the ideal, correct, and acceptable behavior that the child has learned from parents and from the society. Second part of the superego is conscience. Conscience is the part of the superego that makes the person feel pride or guilty depending on how well their behavior matches the ego ideal. That means the person feels proud when they do right thing, when we do something good, we feel happy, we feel proud, and the person feels guilty or moral anxiety when they do some wrong thing. We can say that all behaviors are judged by the conscience against the standards of ego ideal. The conscience compares our behavior against the standards of the ego ideal, and makes the person feel guilty or proud. So until it is no until the conscience develops, the child cannot say right or wrong thing. If a 2 year old child takes something from your house without asking you, we cannot say that he is a thief, because the child doesn't know it is wrong to take somebody's possessions without asking them. So, how these three parts work? The when the id makes the demands, the superego puts restriction, because superego is the moral watchdog, and the ego has to plan to quiet the id as well as the superego. So there is constant battle, we can say, um, um, between the id and the superego. So the id and the superego are in conflict, and the ego arranges a compromise that will satisfy, at least partially, both of them. Um, However, sometimes the id and superego doesn't get its way, resulting in a great deal of anxiety for the ego. Um, this constant state of conflict is how personality works. When the conflict gets out of hand, disordered behavior develops. So we know that ego attempts to mediate between the pressures of the environment on one hand, pressures of the reality, and the demands of the id and superego on the other. So there are a lot of pressures on the ego. in that case, the in order to balance all these things, what the ego does, the ego sometimes um, um, changes the perception of reality, so that it is not perceived as wrong to satisfy the id. So the perception of reality is changed by the ego, so that when we do not um, experience anxiety. So to reduce anxiety, ego develops defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms means the ego slightly changes the reality so that it is not perceived as contradictory to our id or superego. That is known as ego defense mechanisms. If it is not contradictory to our superego or id, then the anxiety experienced will not be there. So defense mechanisms are ways of dealing with the stress through unconsciously distorting one's perception of reality. Okay. According to Freud, the most primitive um, mm, type of defense mechanism is a repression. Repression is pushing the threatening or conflicting thoughts out of conscious memory. It is most basic of the defense mechanisms. ଆମେ ଭୁଲି ଯାଉ ସବୁ. So the conflicting thoughts are pushed out to the unconscious mind. There are several defense mechanisms. Most of them have been later mentioned in the works of Anna Freud, Freud's daughter. There are a number of defense mechanisms. Denial is a defense mechanism. Denial is a refusal to recognize or acknowledge a threatening situation. Likewise, rationalization. Rationalization is making of acceptable excuses for unacceptable behavior. But unjustified behavior, unjustified behavior is wrongly justified. Rationalization. There is projection, reaction formation, a number of defense mechanisms are there. Then, how personality develops? According to Freud, personality develops in 5 stages. And since Freud emphasized on sexuality, Freud believed that with the development of sexuality, the personality develops. So, according to Freud, there are 5 stages of personality development. And as I told you, with the development of sexuality, the personality develops. These stages are called as psychosexual stages of development. According to Freud, the first stage is oral stage. Before coming to stages of development, I want to make it clear. There are 5 stages. At each stage of development, there is a part of the body which produces pleasurable feelings. This part of the body is known as erogenous zone. So for each stage of development, there is a different erogenous zone, which needs to be satisfied. And too much or too little satisfaction of erogenous zone leads to fixation. Fixation means the child moves to the next stage as the actual age, the child grows in age, the child would move to the next stage, but he will move to the next stage with the emotional and behavioral burden of the previous stage. Emotional behavior of the behavioral burden of the stage to which he has been fixated. So when the adult is in problem or in stress, he will show regression. He will show regression. That means his behavior will resemble to the typical behavior of the stage at which he is fixated. Okay, so let us come to the stages of development. First is oral stage. Oral stage is continues from birth to about 1.5 years. It is called oral because the erogenous zone is in the mouth. The child finds pleasure from sucking the breast of the mother. The child is, I have told you, id is present at birth. So at oral stage, id is present and the child is dominated by id. Uh, During oral stage or in oral stage, conflict can arise from weaning. Means the little baby, when the little baby starts to drink from a cup instead of sucking the breast. If weaning occurs too soon or too late, fixation will take place. Orally fixated personality will result from too little or too much satisfaction of oral needs. So, overindulging of oral needs. The orally fixated adults will show overeating, too much drinking, smoking, gum chewing, nail biting, or talking too much. So, if oral needs are overindulged, over satisfaction of oral needs will lead to a tendency to be dependent and optimistic. The oral person, orally overindulged person will be a dependent personality. And if oral needs are underindulged, the person becomes too aggressive and pessimistic. Then the next stage is anal stage. It is the toddlerhood. So it continues from 1.5 years to 3 years. During this stage, Freud believed that the erogenous zone moves from mouth to anus because during this stage, parents pressurize or parents provide the toilet training. Toilet training means the child has to use the toilet or the child has to release their feces at a particular time and at a particular place. That is toilet training. So during this stage, children get a great deal of pleasure from both withholding and then releasing their feces at will. Um, as toilet training starts, the child derives pleasure from learning to control his or body functions. So the child learns to control his body, and the child develops self control. From this self control, the ego develops. So during the anal stage, the ego develops. Um, if toilet training is very harsh, fixation can take place. So, if toilet training is too harsh, the child may rebel openly against the demands of the parents. Suppose parents punish the child for not using the toilet. Um, then the child may rebel against the demands of the parent to use the toilet. Instead of using the toilet, he may defecate when and where he feels like doing it. Such children will develop into adults who consider messiness as a statement of personal control. These type of person are destructive and hostile. These are called anal expulsive personalities. They get pleasure from anal expulsions, defecating. They get pleasure from defecating. Uh, um, on the other hand, if the child is terrified or making a mess, for making a mess, he rebels passively. He refuses to defecate at all. What does he do? He refuses to defecate at all. He retains the feces. He thinks that if there is no defecation, there is no punishment. So, as adults, they are very miser, stubborn, and excessively neat. These type of persons are called anal retentive persons. The third stage is phallic stage. Phallic stage continues from 3 to 6 years, our preschool age. And phallic stage gets its name from the Greek word phallos. Phallos means penis. So penis is very important in this stage, according to Freud. The erogenous zone shifts from anus to genitalia at the during the phallic stage. So at this stage, boys and girls notice the physical differences between them. For the first time, they notice the physical differences between them. So Freud believed that boys become aware of the fact that the girls do not have the penis. So they consider their penis to be very valuable, and they develop a fear of losing it. This type of fear is called castration fear. The castration fear is the fear of the little child that the penis may be caught. It is the fear in the male children. Girls, they also see that they do not have the penis. So they develop a feeling of inferiority, and which Freud calls it is penis envy. They feel that they are missing a vital part and they won't be complete without it. So at this stage, The conflict centers on the child's sexual attraction to the opposite sex parent and jealousy of the same sex parent. So, boys experience sexual attraction towards their mother, which is known as Oedipus complex, and girls experience a sexual attraction towards their fathers, which is known as Electra complex. Um, Here, sexual attraction means not like that between an adult male and female. It means a sexual curiosity mixed with feeling of love and affection. So little boy's feeling of attraction towards his mother results in a fear of his father, because he notices that the father is a competitor. So he feels jealous of his father, and his sexual attraction towards his mother results in feelings of anxiety and fear that the father, being a powerful authority, father is a powerful authority, the father may get angry and may punish him. How would the father punish him? By taking away his penis. So to deal with this anxiety, the boy, what does the little boy do? The boy represses his sexual feelings for his mother, and identifies with his father. Identify means the boy would follow his father, imitate the behavior of the father. Um, the boy would imitate the behavior of the father. So the boy tries to be just like his father. Identification is also a defense mechanism. It is identification is a defense mechanism where we try to somebody else, we try to identify with somebody, means we try to inculcate his values, we try to imitate his or her behavior. So like this, the boy tries to identify with his father. The boy tries to take father's behavior, mannerism, values and moral beliefs as his own. Likewise, girls try to identify with their mothers. So as the children try to take on the moral values and moral beliefs of their same-sex parents, the superego develops. They come to know what is right and what is wrong. So the superego develops. We can say that superego develops as a result of identification with the same sex parent. So all these things are supposed to happen: sexual attraction towards opposite sex parent, jealousy of same sex parent, anxiety from these emotional reactions, sexual repression and identification. And if fixation occurs, fixation in phallic stage usually involve immature sexual attitudes as adults. Such type of phallic fixated adults will exhibit promiscuous sexual behavior and vanity. They will be very vain, sexually promiscuous. Promiscuous means having sexual relation with more than one partner, and lack of moral sexual behavior. Usually, boys, phallic boys, develop develop into mama's voice. ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ ଆମେ କହୁ ମା କାନିରେ ବନ୍ଧା ହେଇଥାଏ, who never behaviorally grow up, ମାନେ dependent independent ହୁଅନ୍ତିନି, ସବୁବେଳେ ମା କଥାରେ ଥାଆନ୍ତି. And women, phallic women may look for father figures to marry. That means they would like to marry a person who is much older than them. And sometimes they may fight hard to gain superiority over men. Since they suffer from penis envy, they may try hard to gain superiority over men. Then the fourth stage is latency stage. Latency stage is continues from age 6 to onset of puberty. So by the end of the phallic stage, children have repressed their sexual feelings for their opposite sex parent. So sexual desires are repressed or hidden. That's why the name is latency stage. They are latent. The sexual desires are latent. During this stage, children develop intellectually, physically, socially, but not sexually. They like to play with children of their own sex. In this stage, the focus of pleasure is social and intellectual skills. Focus of conflict during these stages, school, play, same-sex relationship. If somebody cannot or is not competent enough to meet the demands of the school, he may, or he has not the ability to get along with the others, he may be fixated during this fixated at this stage, latency stage. So at adult, they are not very cooperative persons. The final stage is, fifth stage is genital stage. It is when the puberty is attained. At the genital stage, erogenous zone, we have known it is the erogenous zone is genitals from the phallic stage. So the erogenous zone is the genitals. So repressed sexual feelings again become conscious, but these urges do not target at the parents. At age 3, we may say the child's whole world centers around their parents, but at age 13, target of their sexual attraction become other adolescents. As Freud tied sexual development with personality development, the genital stage represents the final process in personality development, and the person shows the adult sexual and social behavior. That means, according to Freud, personality development is complete by adolescence. And Freud's theory, if we want to make an evaluation of Freud's theory, it is the first systematic theory of personality. Some of Freud's concepts have been supported by research. Freud's concept of unconscious mind were then rejected after rejected, but now it after Freud, the unconscious concept of unconscious mind was rejected by the behaviorists, but now the cognitivists, they have begun to recognize the importance of unconscious mind. the role of unconscious mind in individuals' behavior. However, the from theory has been criticized for its overemphasis on sexuality. Critics say that all motives cannot be reduced to sex and aggression. Um and The theory has Freud developed his theory on the basis of his observation of his patients. Particularly, his patients were um, wealthy women, wealthy women, and middle-aged wealthy women. So critics say that from the from a limited number, from the behavior of limited number of wealthy women, middle-aged wealthy women, we cannot generalize the theory to all sections of the society. So many psychologists who were once follower of Freud, they were followers of Freud, later drifted from Freud because of a disagreement with him. One such, they are known as Neo-Freudians. There are several Neo-Freudians. Um, One such Neo-Freudian is Karen Horney. Karen Horney, her theory is known as feminine psychology. She rejected, Karen Horney rejected the idea of penis envy. She rather argues that the males suffer from womb envy because they do not have the womb, so they are jealous of the woman's ability to procreate. According to Freud, the because of the lack of a penis, the females always suffer from a feeling of incompleteness, feeling of inferiority. So their personality is not complete, is never complete. That's why they are not as competent as the males. In our society, actually males achievement level is males are more important. They achieve many things, and males achievement is attributed to the presence of a penis by Freud, but and females underachievement is attributed to lack of penis by Freud. But Karen Horney rejected this idea. She said that biologically both actually though there are biological differences, but males and females are not different in terms of ability. Since rather females have the ability to procreate, to produce a child, which males do not have. That's why they have womb envy. They are jealous of the women, and to compensate their incompleteness, they try to compensate it with their achievement in other areas. And so if society's restrictions were not there, females would have achieved uh, as the males are achieving or have achieved. So if society's restrictions are lifted, then boys and girls, or males and females, would achieve at the same level. Um, her ideas were at that time were not accepted very much, but later these ideas have been accepted by the feminists. And Horney believed that anxiety is basic to human condition. The human at the birth of at the time of birth, the child has some basic needs. In addition to food, um, the child has the need for love, the need for warmth, the need for acceptance. These are basic needs. If these basic needs are not met, um, the child is not loved, the child is not provided with the warmth or care, then the child develops basic anxieties. Uh, Basic anxieties arouse from a feeling of insecurity. Why does the child feels insecure? Because her basic needs are not met. Um, in the face of basic anxiety, children develop certain defense attitudes or strategies that permit them to cope with the world. Um, uh, these defense strategies, according to Horney, are related to interpersonal relations. So the we or people use these defense mechanisms to assist them in relating effectively with others. So Horney talked of three types of coping strategies or defense strategies. Um, these strategies are primary modes of relating to other people. These strategies are moving toward people, that means compliance, moving against people, that is hostility, and moving away from people, that is detachment or withdrawal. Moving toward people means people feel an artificial but a strong attachment to people. Um, um, and moving against people means trying to force one's power onto others. And moving away means to become asocial or an almost develop an indifference to others. So we use all these three strategies as and when required, but over dependence on any one strategy will lead to neurotic behavior or abnormal behavior. So according to Horney, there are 10 neurotic needs, and these the neurotic needs depend. Neurotic needs refer to a tendency to use any one strategy, any one of these three coping strategies, um, mm, always, or overuse of any one strategies. Horney also gave a theory of self. She said we have two Horney distinguished between two types of selves. One is real self and the other one is idealized self. Real self is what we actually are, and the idealized self is what we think we should be, कौन हबा उचित आमे. So in the normal individual, the idealized self and the real self, they largely coincide because the idealized self is based on a realistic assessment of one's abilities and potentials. But the neurotic individual, he has mm, a large discrepancy between his real self and the ideal self. So, in neurotic individuals, the real self and the ideal self are discrepant. Um, so, this is about Horney's theory. Horney's ideas of idealized self and real self were also later used by Carl Rogers. So we will discuss Carl Rogers' theory tomorrow. And mm, her ideas, though were not accepted at her time, are now later accepted by the feminists. Her ideas that male and female are equal so far as ability is concerned, and if the women are not achieving at the same level as the males, it is due to societal restriction, society's restriction. So Horney gave a societal and interpersonal explanation of personality. Okay, I think time is now over. Um, do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt?
No, madam.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Good night, and
Thank you, ma'am.
we would meet tomorrow and discuss some more theories.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Good night.